Hey, folks. It's Jerlene and I'm live. My intro music wasn't working, so I'm going to play it real quick. Hey, folks, it's Jerlene and I'm live. Okay. I am back. Episode number 11 with All Politricks Are Local, Talk of the Town. Again, I'm Jerlene, live from Long Beach. It's Sunday, May 22nd. So I don't see anyone that joined us yet, but that's okay because you watch us now, you watch us later. Tonight, although I was sharing that I was going to talk about endorsements, I think I'm going to put that conversation off for a little bit. Tonight, I do have two candidates that have joined, and the possibility that a few more may join. So hopefully folks will pop in. So give me just a moment. I'm going to do just a little housekeeping stuff. Just a little housekeeping. So I hope folks are all good. I hope people have been enjoying this weird weather that we continue to have. It doesn't know if it wants to be hot or cold. But I hope you all are enjoying it. All right, let's see. All right, I just shared this out to a couple places. See if anybody joins us. So again, it's Jerlene live, Talk of the Town. All Politricks Are Local, here to talk about some local politics. Tonight, I am joined by two different guests. One is running for the State Assembly, 69th District, and the other is running for the 5th District Council. So, but before I get into that, do you all see this beautiful map behind me? It's my new visual. I'm so excited about it. It's actually a banner. It's a banner. I'm going to do exciting things with this. And I got it from Fresh Prints in Long Beach. So anyway, I'm a total geek. And I hope y'all like my sign. So let me check. Okay. All right. I'm going to bring both of my guests in. I'm going to do I'm going to have them do both a brief introduction. And then I am going to let them share something about themselves. So okay, people, let's see. One of the guests, there she is. Okay, here we go. Hey, everyone. Can you guys, let's unmute. Welcome. So I have,
yeah.
hey. So I have guests from two different races. I have Ian Patton that is running for the Long Beach City Council, 5th District. He is running to replace an existing candidate, correct?
Well, yes, but there's
Yes.
no incumbent running because of redistricting.
Well, there's an incumbent running from a different race that is part of a different office, right? But not out of the 5th. You're not running against the incumbent of the 5th, which I
Oh,
believe is.
well, I guess in a sense, I'm running. One of my opponents is an incumbent in a different jurisdiction. That's right.
Right. We'll talk about that in just a moment. And then we have Dr. Mary Taheri. I had an opportunity to meet you about a month ago, and so I'm really excited to be able to see you again. So what I want you to do, both of you, and I'm actually gonna ask you to do this twice. So Ian, I know I just kind of gave an introduction, but give your own introduction of who you are and what you're running for, and keep this one really short because I'm gonna come back to you.
Well, Jerlene, I am a lifelong resident of Long Beach. I grew up in Cal Heights and Bixby Knolls, and I am still here fighting for our quality of life. I'm a small business owner. I've also been involved in politics a long time, as you know. You may or may not know how far I go back in politics, but it does go quite a ways back to actually
Juanita McDonald.
It goes even further back, believe it or not. It goes back to when I was a teenager. And this is a quick introduction, so I need to get past the teenage years. But I was a teenager. I started volunteering for Betty Carnett. I worked for Juanita Millender McDonald after college. I did political consulting for a little while after that. And about 4 years ago, I formed with other folks, including former Councilman Gabelich, the Long Beach Reform Coalition. And we've been fighting to have transparency and accountability in City Hall ever since then. And that's really the pursuit that has taken over my life and
Wow.
motivated me to do what I'm doing now.
Wow. You had an opportunity to work with some public servants.
Yes.
Public servants, not politicians, true public servants.
And true
Thank you.
personalities too in public service.
Right, right. Well, thank you and welcome. I'm going to come back to you, Dr. Mary Taheri. Can you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
A little bit. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. Good to see you again, Ian. And Jerlene, it's always a pleasure seeing you. My name is Dr. Megan Kerr. I'm a wife. I'm a mother. I am a patient advocate. I am a nurse practitioner with a doctorate degree. I have worked over 24 years.
You're popping in a little bit. You're popping in and out.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's.
Must
Here,
be.
hold on just a second. Hold on. Go ahead. Position yourself. All right. Okay, I'm pulling you back in. You ready?
Yes. Is this better?
Okay. All right. You know, it may have been the fan over you. So go ahead.
Is this better?
Yes.
Okay. So you heard the beginning?
Yes, that you're a nurse practitioner with a doctorate degree.
Yes. And as the plane is going over my head. So I have worked mainly in the emergency department in Los Angeles County areas for over 20 something years of my career, serving the veterans, the homeless population, uninsured. And I have advocated for years through union because I work with Department of Health currently, and we are a part of SEIU union. For the last several years, I've been going to Sacramento regularly to advocate for healthcare for all, for patient advocacy, and nursing profession.
Okay.
And I've been a Long Beach resident since 15 years now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, how many again?
Over 14 years.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Thank you for hanging out with us. So I'm going to take you off camera just for a moment so that Ian, I both of you, I think, have time constraints. So I'm going to pull Ian in. I'm going to ask Ian a few questions, and then I'm going to pull you back in, Dr. Mary. And so hang tight with us. All right. So I'm going to, let's see. Okay. Hey, Ian, we're back again. So, you said you are a small business on that. I know the consulting. So the one thing that is interesting, I did not know your I've often wondered about how you became involved in politics. So I've seen you as a political consultant. So you are running for the new 5th district, right? The new 5th district.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's on that map behind you, that beautiful map.
It is.
There it is.
It's a district that now spans from one side of Long Beach all the way to the other.
That's right. We are coast to coast, riverbank to riverbank.
Yes, so the new
almost, not quite.
So the current member, current council member Mungo was redistricted out, right? She was redistricted out, and the incumbent that you're speaking of that in another seat is Megan Kerr, school board member, area 1, and she's running in this race as well. Mm-hmm. Okay, so for folks, local politics, I've been talking about local politics quite a bit. I've been spending a lot of time on the mayor's race. Right now, I'm live with Ian Patton, 5th District City Council seat candidate. Ian, I know I've seen you at different places, or online. I've seen you. I don't know if I've made it out to see you in person yet. Yet you've had an opportunity to connect with voters in this new 5th district. How is that going?
Oh, it's going well. People are very receptive to the message that I'm bringing them, which is change, 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 and more change. They are not happy with the status quo. People are not happy about the lack of public safety that is really deteriorating in the city. People are aware that our police force has cut to the bone, and they have not gotten it restored from Measure A as they were promised. Everybody is talking about the homelessness crisis, of course, in our region and in our city, but definitely in this district, which is a relatively new thing because having grown up in this district in Cal Heights and Bixby Knolls, I can tell you we did not have a homelessness crisis. You could have searched all day and all night for an unhoused person in the 80s and 90s when I was growing up here. It just was not an issue. So this is something new to these residents, and the concern is rising because the law enforcement aspect, and nobody wants to come down like a hammer on a homeless person, but there's no backup if there is a dangerous situation that most people feel.
What do you think is, and I know we're going to keep this general, but I got a question. What do you think is the cause in this new rise of our unhoused population, or in this, you said it was new, but in this rise, what do you think is the cause?
Well, that's a really interesting question, and I don't know if anybody definitely knows the answer. I think there's been a lot of economic issues in terms of dislocation that stemmed from the last recession, and a lot of folks who got forced out of work, and then you had a lot of costs go up in terms of housing, and some folks just never got back into the employment economy. That may be a root cause of it. There may be regional issues in terms of people coming from other states to California. You can even look at national issues like the opioid crisis that impacts us here directly, but also maybe causes people to leave areas that have been decimated and come out here, either to escape it or because they're victims of it. I mean, I'm not a sociologist and I haven't really studied that aspect of it, but all I know is that whatever the cause is, once you're out on the street for any protracted period of time, you are suffering either from drug addiction or mental illness or both. It's basically impossible to stay out there and maintain a normal balance.
You are the first candidate I've heard mention the opioid epidemic. The first person. Thank you for that, because it's something that it seems to be people don't want to talk about. The things that you mentioned homelessness, public safety, in SB9. I don't know if you mentioned that or not. I think just a few moments ago. I know when we talked a little bit earlier that you mentioned it. I've noticed that many of the candidates are all talking about the same things. Do you think that is in order to appease people, or do you believe these are like the topics that whoever gets elected, that this is what it's on the people's minds?
Well, if you're a candidate for office, you have to talk about what people care about. And right now, it's clear what people care about.
Okay.
I don't blame any. I don't think there's anything wrong with the fact that everybody out there is talking about these issues, because right now it's just so clear what people are upset about. I don't know that we're all talking about the same issues, though, because I would be surprised if my opponent, who you described as a sort of a quasi-incumbent, is really focused on the density issue. She basically said she likes SB9 in the debate. She kind of said it's not perfect, but she actually said good things about it. So there's that. There's inflation, which I don't know if every candidate is talking about, but I definitely am, because as you know, I'm the guy who was against Measure A and leading an organization that was against Measure A. I think Measure A is really a disaster in this hyperinflation environment where so many small businesses and restaurants and retailers that have these really thin margins are just, I mean, if they survive the pandemic at all, now to be hit with inflation and not even get a break on the sales tax is just more than a lot of them can take.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff going on right now where people are sensing that the city is just becoming less like the old Long Beach that was a little bit more relaxed and easy to deal with either as a resident or a business owner, and more like the big city, more like LA, more like big city problems where we have so much taxation, so many hurdles to living your life or starting a business or getting the services you need, and it's not coming back. You're just seeing the sort of the squalor spread. And if you're rich, if you're at that elite level, then you can always live above all the chaos, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the tale of two cities in places like LA and Santa Monica. The wealthy are always, or San Francisco, right?
Yeah.
The wealthy are up in their towers, and all the squalor below doesn't really affect them, but it does everybody else who are, paying these high taxes.
Wow. I had got 5 different questions in my head, but I'm thinking we're gonna have to extend this conversation.
Anytime, that, Jerlene.
Yeah. So I know you have to roll out. Yet before you do that, what is one thing that you want to share with voters? And it could be maybe something you've not had an opportunity to share. Maybe it's something that you've experienced on this campaign trail. Maybe it's to dismiss something that is being said or shared about you. It doesn't. It's all up to you.
Well, fortunately, we haven't gotten into attack mode yet in the campaign. That could happen at any moment. I'm not planning to start it, but I'm always ready for that as someone who's been involved in other campaigns in this city where the other side has gone nerdy. I wish they had gone nerdy, actually.
Right. That's me. I'm the one that's going nerdy right now.
I love it when you go nerdy.
Yeah. One thing that I have to say that
I'm going to say dirty and negative. It came out nerdy.
We want them to go nerdy. We want them to start dropping data and statistics, right? Yeah.
But no, I honestly, I've done so many meet and greets. I've talked to so many people. I don't think there's anything I haven't talked with anybody about yet. But I will say one of the things that I would love to share with people is this sort of analogy to Long Beach City Hall that I just came up with randomly the other day. I think I was in the shower, actually, if that's not TMI, but it occurred to me that Long Beach City Hall, a perfect metaphor is Facebook. Yeah. And the reason is because Facebook is an organization that has a ton of money going through it, and it's got all these users who think they're the customer, but they're not. Facebook knows they're not. Facebook knows all those users out there who think they're the customer are actually the product. The customer are the advertisers. And the users and their eyes and their page views and their views of everything on Facebook are what are being sold to the real customers of Facebook, who are the advertisers.
Wow.
And Long Beach is being run these days in the exact same way, where all the residents think, of course, we're the customers. Why aren't we getting the kind of excellent customer service that we should expect? And it's because City Hall really doesn't see the residents as the customers anymore. City Hall sees the residents and really their tax dollars as the product. And that product is being sold to, guess who? The special interests, all the big, powerful, moneyed interests in the city who really control the agenda and who really have controlled the politicians and who pay these huge i.e., independent expenditure campaigns to buy and sell politicians and ultimately get what they want when it comes time to negotiate a contract or get a favor, a perk, or a tax abatement, or basically a piece of that enormous revenue that flows through City Hall. City Hall has really come to see them as the customers, not the residents. It smiles at the residents and pays lip service to them, but they're no longer the customers. And that's what we need to change. And that's why we really, in a nutshell, why we formed the Long Beach Reform Coalition.
One of the reasons I started doing this commentary was to share some of the backside of things that the average voter doesn't know about. For example, like the campaign finances and what endorsements mean. And so as a resident and someone who wants to be the customer,
It ought to be.
I agree with you. So thank you. I wish we could continue the conversation so you could tell me how you plan on changing that. So hopefully we can make some time to do that. So there's only 2 candidates in your race?
No, ma'am. It is 3 against 1. 3 women against little old me.
You know what? I need to find my little spreadsheet because I have a spreadsheet with everybody in it. So that means
it's Megan Kerr, Janine Bedard, and Linda Valdez, and myself.
That's right. I have not seen the other 2 candidates. I'm going to have to spend some time looking them up as well. So to learn a little bit about them. So that means there's a possibility of a runoff for you. If you in the top 2. Okay.
Yeah, that's the political math. When you've got 4 candidates, I had to accept that reality when it became 3 and then 4 that we're probably going to be in a runoff. Yeah.
Well, I wish you well. I will be watching, and you make it to the runoff, or if you, I know every candidate wants to win, so if you win outright, yay team. If you end up to the runoff, let's continue this conversation. So I'm gonna pull Mary in before I drop you off, and the reason why Mary, in something that is it's really exciting that I have you both here. It looks like children is coming to the room.
Sorry.
That's why I lock my door so my children can't enter, is because there's overlap in your district. So I hope, Mary, you had an opportunity to listen to some of the things that Ian was talking about, because those are some of the things that I believe as assembly person, you would also be responsible for. So Ian, thank you for joining us. I'll put you in the back room. You can hang out if you like until you're ready to drop off. Okay.
Thank you so much, Jerlene. I would love to do this and continue this conversation anytime.
All right. Thank you. Hey, Mary. Dr. Taheri, how are you? Okay, so for folks who are just joining us, Ian Patton, candidate for the 5th District City Council of Long Beach, just joined us and shared a little bit about his platform and what he is talking about on his campaign trail. If you missed that part, this is recorded. You can go back and watch it at any time. We are now going to be joined by Dr. Mary Taheri. She's a candidate for the Assembly District 69, which happens to overlap with the 5th District Council office. Unfortunately, my pretty map doesn't show the 69th. and I'm actually in the 69th district.
So 69 includes Long Beach, the majority of Long Beach, Signal, Carson, and Avalon.
Okay. So it includes Long Beach, Carson, Signal Hill, Avalon.
Yep.
Avalon. Okay. Yep. So for folks who are unaware, the 69th Assembly District includes Long Beach, Signal Hill, Avalon, and Carson. So that's pretty wide span. Again, I don't have a pretty map of that. I'll work on that, y'all. So there are 4 candidates in your race.
Yes.
So one of them happens to, I'm going to kind of go down them before I get to you.
Sure. I'm going to block
children proof it. No, my kids, she's 8.
Are ever done as a mom, so it's
never. So it's never. So I'll even put a little thing on the door like, "Do not disturb. Mom is live." But they're so cute though, because afterwards they come in and they go, "Mom, how was your live?" It's so cute.
And you know, I do some I talks and lectures and UCLA, UCSF, and I've never had them interrupt until one like just recently.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, the whole time my son, and he's never done that, and I was like, I don't know what
You know, we have to roll with it. I mean, I do parent advocacy, and the thing about it is we, our children, we got to roll with it. So yeah. So yay, mom power. Okay. So you have 3 other people that you are up against.
Yes.
Janet Foster.
Yeah.
I've had an opportunity to meet her. I met her at a meet and greet early on. Josh Lowenthal and Al Austin. Al is currently a council member, 8th District council member. Very familiar. I actually had an opportunity to live in the 8th for a short period of time. So you're running against, there's 1 elected and 3 folks that are not elected. Right. And, I've been paying attention to this race because this is my assembly race. This is where I live. I live in this district. Something that was interesting though, and I'm looking at the sample ballot right now, if you wonder what I'm looking at. You are listed as a citizen police commissioner.
Yes. So there's 3, items that you put, and then you kind of prioritize 1, 2, and 3, and our campaign manager listed it as that and thought that this would be a good idea. It's interesting, and I want to give a little bit background, Jerlene, if it's okay with you, on how this whole topic came about and what Citizens Police Complaint Commissioner means, because your our voters and your audience to understand what this is for those who don't, because I did not know what this was until I was offered this position. I had applied for homeless commissioner for, and that's where my passion is. Currently, I oversee several thousand individuals. I work in Skid Row in downtown Los Angeles for.
So the quick question: you're a citizen police commissioner for where?
Citizen Police Complaint Commissioner for Long Beach.
For Long Beach?
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Since last year. So here's the interesting thing. When I applied for the homeless commissioner, it said that there was no opening. And then they came back to me. It's appointed through the mayor's office. And I had never met the mayor prior to that, or the city council members at that point. And so they review all of this before they approve it. But, they came back to me and said, would you be interested in the Citizens Police Complaint Commissioner? And I wanted some more information. When I received it, basically what it is that there is a few of us commissioners that receive citizens' complaints every month. We review it, read it, and during our once a month meeting, we come in prepared to that meeting. If there is any body cam that was worn by the police officers. So the papers that we review are citizens that have filed complaints against police officers.
I'm familiar with the commission because I know that there was a request for reform with the commission, especially coming out of 2020.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be integrated into the framework for reconciliation. So, and I was all up in that. So, wow, I didn't know. So you said that your initial was the homeless commission, and then, but why was that selected as your ballot designation? I mean, was that were you told that this is what you should put on your ballot designation?
They put 3 different ones. My campaign manager, and then they picked they chose, they had 3, and then they said, okay, let's put this as number 1. That's what they,
Okay.
and for me, I think that it's important because it shows the diversity, the different background and experience that I have as well.
Mhm.
Okay with that. 'Cause I wanted to, I thought it was pretty good of my campaign manager to show that I am not just a healthcare provider, but I'm also involved in our city, with our citizens, and knowing what's happening with the police department and all of that, and being involved and being completely unbiased, and making sure that we're doing the right thing for our citizens. And so I hope that makes sense.
It does. Let me just sit tight, folks, for a minute. I hear a helicopter flying over. I want to close my window so so you don't hear it too. Actually, that actually makes me a little bit nervous.
I know.
And a little anxious. Well, for folks that are just joining or just tapping in, I am with Dr. Mary Taheri, candidate for Assembly District 69. She is a Long Beach police complaint commissioner currently, and she's a nurse practitioner. So for those folks that actually, pick up the Grunion Gazette, she is featured as one of the 4 candidates here. I was reading, I'm gonna read this. Taheri, 49, is a nurse practitioner and an Afghan American, being smuggled out of Afghanistan at age 7 after her parents were killed by Russian military.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So and I didn't know that about you until I saw this today. If you don't mind, share something about that, because one thing that I think that's important just in this whole conversation, it's one thing for us to get these different mailers, these little flat mailers that talk about people, candidates. We don't actually get a chance to connect with them at a human level. So if you don't mind, and since you are the only candidate right now, you get to suck up as much air as you like. So I'm just but share something. Like when I saw that, thank you for being here.
Thank you. So I was born in New York. My father was a surgeon out in New York. And when I was about 2 years old, my father and my mother, my brother and I returned back. We returned to Afghanistan. For me, it was the first time being in Afghanistan, but my parents are originally from Afghanistan. But my father was practicing in New York, and he's post Columbia University graduate and all of that. And 4 years after we were in Afghanistan, the Russians, formerly known as Soviet Union, and Afghanistan. And my father was a health minister in a province called Kandahar at that time. And he was a surgeon and an OBGYN. He repeatedly refused to join the communist regime because he felt that it was important for him to be the humanitarian and the servant that he was to the people. And what happened was, because of his refusal to join the communist regime and to continue helping all, regardless of what background they were, Afghan, Russian, whoever, that were wounded. My parents were assassinated, including my 4-year-old sister. My brother and I survived, and we were smuggled out in the middle of the night. So here we traveled the world, and, here you have the chauffeurs and the this and the privileged life up to age 7. And then in the middle of the night, with just literally the clothes we had on, we were smuggled out to leave the country and returned back to the U.S. And it took us over a year to come back to the U.S. through staying in, Pakistan and other countries like that until we came back. We had no paperwork, nothing. I grew up my grandparents eventually met up with us, my maternal grandparents and uncle, and they raised us. We came to the U.S. They came as war refugees, and I was a citizen. So, but I was raised on welfare, government assistance. And I remember at a very young age, I thought to myself, and I made a promise to myself that one day when I'm old enough to stand on my feet and provide to my grandparents and my uncle, that I will and give back to society, to our country and our people here in the US, that I never, that was my goal, that I can't wait for me to be old enough to stand on my feet and be self-reliant. So obstacles is something that it's not new to me. They always say, Mary, even as a child, you have an old soul, because to me, government assistance is important.
Mm-hmm.
You have obstacles like this. And so one day, if you're mentally, physically able to be self-reliant, you can give back to our society. And I've been lucky and blessed that I've been healthy and received my doctorate and worked hard. Since I was 12 years old, I've been working. And obtained my doctorate from UC San Francisco. And the past 24 years or so, I've been working as a nurse practitioner. In the last 14 years, working at the county facility Department of Health, Los Angeles County. The last 3 years, I've been in Skid Row working with the homeless population. And so I oversee several thousand patients that our team provides wraparound services to ensure that they don't fall back into homelessness. So that is like a huge passion of mine. And then I have, we could talk about COVID and why I'm running the office.
So question.
Yeah.
And well, one, you answered the question, because I was going to ask you, like, what led you here, and
Yeah.
and actually maybe there is another version of that question. Well, yeah, what led you here, and then I have a very specific question to ask you. What led you to the 69th Assembly race?
Yeah, and I appreciate that question, because it's not something I just woke up overnight and said, today I'm going to run for state assembly. It's something to me that I take very serious. And every year in the last several years, homelessness has increased by over 12% just in Los Angeles County. That is devastating to me. And we're one of the most powerful, wealthy countries. Why is this happening? We need to ask ourselves that as voters. And I think most of us know why this is happening. And I'll tell you, during COVID, I opened up and oversaw 3 quarantine COVID hospitals or isolations, and several thousand patients, hundreds of clinical team that I hired. A lot of responsibility, 24/7, worked around the clock. I realized it was a slap across our faces, the health disparities and the health inequities in the Black and brown communities. And it's like, wow, I felt someone just grabbed me by my arms, shook me up and said, Mary, in the last 2-3 years, Jerlene, if you're not going to do something about it, Mary, now, then might as well just, let it go. And the fact that I did not know the current assembly member, Patrick O'Donnell, had retired, I had no idea. Mind you, I've been a little busy on the front lines and dealing with some other issues and things like that. So I literally found out, I was told right before to get on the ballots, literally a day before. So I put, and I think that the best person to be at the decision-making table in Sacramento is someone that has boots on the ground experience, knows what failures our society has had, our communities and our state, and what works and what doesn't when it comes to homelessness, affordable housing, and especially healthcare. So that's why I'm running. I can't hear you.
I'm over here going, wow, and you ain't heard any of them. Yeah, I muted myself because I was rocking in my seat and it was squeaking. So, um, wow, I would say in 2020, or I would say the pause of the pandemic pushed a lot of people into a lot of realization. So, thank you for sharing that, and for like I said, coming to having this moment of like you have to do something. So you shared that, and Ian Patton was on before, running for city council, and he also talked about homelessness, and he talked about the reasons that he believes that homelessness has been on the rise. What if elected as an assembly member, how could you help local regions and cities with their unhoused slash homeless problem? Or what would you what would you intend on doing, or how would you approach that in support?
Yeah, this is not it's not a simple one answer, or fix, like overnight fix the situation, because remember, this problem has been rising and rising and continue for years. So now we have to go in there and clean house.
Mhm.
And it's going to take time, it's going to take patience, but it's going to take collaboration of the local and the state level. And what, you said something.
Oh, no, I was just repeating back what you said. I was repeating it to myself. Collaboration between the local and the state levels.
That's very important. We need to put our differences aside. And there is lack of housing. That is a huge issue that we cannot deny, and I think most of us agree on that. Affordable housing is another issue. The other thing, Jerlene, that I think is very important, because I've been boots on the grounds and I've seen what the issues are. We, at the state level, when funds are allocated to local level, the city or the county, we must hold them accountable. And I would love to see something like a report card from the local officials. If we allocate $1 billion towards the homeless for LA County, where was this used? How was it used? That's what I would like to see at the state level. Transparency, accountability, and there's a lot of red tapes, I understand, when it comes to development and things like that, that we need to work together on multiple levels. And so there's a lot of different layers. But also, I just want to mention that housing is a must. Permanent support housing is a must, because a lot of our patients or clients or individuals experiencing homelessness have substance use issues or mental health issues. So we cannot treat them successfully when they're on the streets. We must provide permanent housing so that we can provide wraparound services. And then, and I could see that that will decrease the crisis that we're facing.
I'm just like in the conversation with Ian. I have so many questions and different things that are going in my head, and it's like these are conversations that must continue. Yet I know we must get ready to close it down because we both have mommy duties. um, if there's one thing that you could share with voters, or share one thing that you would like to share with voters, something that you've not had an opportunity to share, or a question that you've not had an opportunity to answer, or something that sets you apart from those that you are running against. Yeah. And something that I didn't mention it. I got my mind went elsewhere. One of the candidates, I mean, I know that one candidate, I believe Foster, she's very connected within the Democratic Party. And then the Lowenthal, some concerns that I have with it, that it's almost like this family dynasty, and but it's been really interesting kind of watching that race. But that's probably a whole nother conversation. So, but anyway, what's your one thing?
I think one of the most important things is for us as voters to look at each individual candidate, not their, not their family name, not their local position, their current political positions. It's important to look, what have they done? How can they make it an impact or a difference? Because, Ian had mentioned it, and I say this all the time. We're all tired of the status quo. It's not working. It is not working. And that's why I'm running for office, because having boots on the ground experience, how many people in our race can say that they have boots on the ground experience working with our current crisis situation, which is homelessness? I can say that very confidently, and I can assure voters that when I'm there in Sacramento, I'm not there to make friends. I'm not there to be bought by, corporations or, special interest groups. I'm there to serve each of you. And I hope that you, read my background and see what I've done, and having that experience with on the ground experience, that's what differentiates me against, the other candidates. So hopefully, and we do have a meet and greet at the Whaley Park in Long Beach, on the 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. I hope to see you there.
Okay, I'll definitely, if you share that with me, I'll definitely share it on my page.
I
If you want
appreciate
to learn more about Mary, Mary Taheri for assembly.com. We have the election date is creeping up on us, June 7th. Everyone should have, although we know everyone has not received their mail-in ballot. You can mail your ballot in, or you can go to a voting center. I believe voting centers open up on the 25th. If you're following my Facebook page, you should be able to see this information. I'm sharing it on a regular basis. Mary, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. And again, people, if you want to learn more about Mary, check out her page. And Mary, I'm gonna let you go for the night. and
I just want to mention one thing. I've had meet and greets, planned meet and greets a couple of times, and every time all of my social media gets hacked several days before. We still can't figure out why that's happening. So if whoever's interested, we will have the postings on the meet and greets, not just our social media, but also my website at marytaheriforassembly.com. And I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much, Jerlene.
All right, thank you. You have a good night.
Thank
All right,
you.
you can stay in the studio if you want to hang out. All right, I'm gonna take you off screen. Hey, folks. If you're still with me, you're still watching. If you're watching this after the fact, please put hashtag replay to let me know that you've been here. Please comment. Please react. That's the only way I know that people are actually engaging with these conversations. If you just happen to be popping in right now, I had two candidates on tonight. One of them is a candidate for the State Assembly 69th District here in California, and the other one's for 5th District City Council member Ian Patton, just joined us earlier. So again, if you're watching, please let me know that you've been here. Thumbs up. You didn't like it, give me a little ugly face, or put some mean comment. Well, don't make it too mean in the thread. I did want to talk about endorsements tonight, yet I decided, since there was an opportunity to connect with candidates, that was a better conversation to have. I am going to go live again, not today, but I will be talking about endorsements and some other things that are pressing. I take it back. I may go back live a little bit later, just to do just like a little check-in, but it won't be streaming on all pages. It'll only be streaming on one Facebook page. But again, thank you. Give me a thumbs up if you're watching this after the fact. Please do put hashtag replay, share, like, react. And good night, Long Beach is Jerlene. All politics are local. Talk of the town. A mama with a voice. I'm not afraid to use it. Good night.